Have you ever wanted to learn how to make your drawings look 3D? Well, today I'm going to teach you how to shade using a pencil and a blending stick. We'll talk about value scales and how to draw value forms. Let's go. We're going to start today with value shading on a value scale. Value is the lightness and darkness of a color. To draw anything in 3D with a graphite pencil, we need to understand how to shade from dark to light and all the varying grays in between. We're going to shade the darkest, and it's going to gradually get lighter and lighter. Now I'm using a method of layering my graphite. Layering the graphite will give me a smoother overall look. Now I'm using a blending stick, which is essentially a rolled up sheet of soft paper. You can make your own. You can also use Q-tips. The next step to drawing 3D is understanding how to draw 3D forms. We're going to start with a sphere, and a sphere looks like a circle. In fact, a circle is one of the harder things to draw, so it takes lots of practice. The best advice I can give you is to rotate your shoulder. Try to lock your wrist and fingers, so try to rotate your shoulder as you draw. A cone looks very much like a triangle, except the bottom is going to be curved. If you want to have good symmetry, you draw a little bit on the left and then a little bit on the right. Don't forget to practice. Draw it over and over. Curved edges at the bottom of the cone help to make it look even more 3D. Now, drawing a box or a cube, there are multiple ways to draw cubes and boxes, but I'm showing you two methods. The classic method, draw two squares or rectangles and then connect the corners to make a 3D box. This is usually very successful because it's easy to predict. This is not the only method. Another method is to start by drawing what's essentially the spine or the corner of one of your sides of your box. And then you're going to draw sets of parallel lines. Parallel lines are lines that are equally distant from each other. Make sure that your lines are parallel to each other. There should be 3 sets of parallel lines for every box or cube. So when you draw these 3D forms, they're not 3D until you make them 3D. So what you need to understand is this arrow represents a light source. So now I'm drawing how the light would hit a 3D sphere. So it's going to hit it in circular shapes and forms. Each section, dark, medium, light, and the last part will be white. You need curved lines for curved forms. Except for the cone. The cone's interesting. You actually divide it up with lines pointing directly to the top of the cone, the point of the cone. If you don't do that, it's going to look flat. Now we're going to be talking about how we would shade our box. It's very simple. Dark, medium, and light based off of your sides. Shading a sphere. You're going to see me drawing again. Remember to use your shoulder for proper rotation to make something look round. Now I'm drawing the circular forms to divide up the sections of my value scale on this 3D form. And I'm going to try to draw as much circular motion as possible to replicate the shape that I'm trying to create. So I'm trying to create this 3D form by using these circular curved lines. I'm now going to go and scribble on top of that to start to hide some of those scratchy marks. your layers, you need to do this in layers. Much like the value scale, the flat value scale, we're now layering our value on top to make it look better. You can always go back and do more shading afterwards. Now we're going back with the blending stick after we have shaded to smooth out our pencil marks. You do this after you finish shading, but there should be a base layer of value because a blending stick will not create value, it will only push around the pencil that you've placed on the page. Now I'm creating a cast shadow, so I'm imagining my light source is from the upper left, and I'm creating a cast shadow that would be similar to what would happen in real life. Typically your cast shadow would be very dark near your object because the light is obscured, and then as it goes away from the object, it would get lighter and softer. When you're shading a cone, you try to make straight lines that point directly towards the top point of your cone. You build up your layers. It's darker away from your light source and lighter towards your light source. Blending stick to smooth things out, clean it up. Now we're going to draw a cast shadow created by our cone and blending it out. Our easiest form to predict will be our box. Typically, it's going to be very flat values. Trying to shade in the direction of the object with my straight lines and diagonal lines to match the parallel lines of the box itself. And I'm blending them in. And now I'm going to add my cast shadow. Darker towards the object and lighter as it goes away from the object. I hope you'll be able to use some of these tips on drawing 3D forms in the future using graphite.
If you liked today's video, go ahead and click on this one too. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to Create Art with Chris right here.